All right, guys, we're going to get into this third game, the Absolute Legends Invitational Finals. This is going to be Quantic versus AL. Quantic is going to be on the Radiant this time, and they do get the first pick 1-1 so far. And both games have been kind of one-sided. First game was very one-sided to Quantic. The next game, very one-sided to AL. Both games ending in under 30 minutes. Quite easily.
Yep, and for anyone who's not familiar with either of us, he is the Capitalist, I am LD, and thank you all for having us today, and we are very excited for this Game 3, and frankly, I am hoping to see a 5-game series, and maybe some longer games, to be perfectly honest, as that is where Korok tends to be at his most comfortable. And of course, in general, both of these teams very talented, very organized, very skilled, and the longer the game goes, the more opportunity to see big plays, big mistakes, and really that back-and-forth drama and action that we all have come to love in Dota. In terms of the bans here, nothing surprising whatsoever. And a little bit notable that Brood is getting the ban, so Quantic showing some respect towards AL after that Brood just crushed them. I mean, even though Brood, I believe she got picked off early game, or at least was not having good farm, it didn't matter because the constant pressure, the constant need to devote heroes to that lane just freed up so much space for everyone else on Quantic, and on AL, and they really took advantage.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, man, I really agree. I mean, we've got to get some more exciting games in here. I mean, the games have been action-packed, but it's just been so one-sided. So hopefully this third game will turn things around. Both teams have been a very strong showing through this whole entire tournament. Absolute Legends, a team that really hasn't been up to par quite recently. Just this tournament, they've really turned around. Apparently, they've been practicing quite a bit. But Quantic, they took out EG in first round, MTW in the second round, and then a relatively newer team, Calculus's TTB, in the third round. The semifinals, Quantic beat them. So all around, it's just been, both teams have been very strong, and they've had to fight some very strong opponents before this. So hopefully we're going to see an Enchantress banned out, so Chen is still a pick on the board. And if he makes it actually to the picks, he's probably going to be one of those first pick heroes, especially with Enchantress gone. I mean, a lot of times when you have both Chen and Enchantress, you might not see them picked up until the last third pick or fourth or fifth. But with one of them banned, usually one of them is picked up really, really quickly. And we're also going to see, man, Quantic just does not like to see Mirana whatsoever. They are just constantly banning her out.
Well, as far as Mirana goes, she's very unusual for a hard carry in that she has very strong, decent laning, not very strong, but a pretty decent laner with that 600 range, a nice attack animation, and she gives you great initiation. And even though you might not realize this, or you might not think of her this way, she gives you good team fight. You have that ultimate to initiate as well as get out of jail free if your opponents are not prepared. So I'm not entirely surprised to see that ban. I think it's also a little bit more a direct ban, or ban directed at Absolute Legends in particular, as they have been known to run Mirana quite a bit. Morphling gets the ban here, and that's no surprise because you're up against Korok. I was surprised he didn't get banned earlier last game, and we'll have to see how the draft progresses. You mentioned Chen is on the board. If Quantic doesn't pick him up, Absolute Legends most certainly will. Profit is also available, and if you're Quantic, that's probably the decision they're debating, is do they want the Chen or the Prophet? They go with the Chen. That's going to leave Prophet on the board, as well as Leshrac, and we've seen just how strong that Leshrac can be in the hands of AL.
Yeah, absolutely. Darkseer, another hero, still on the board as well. And I keep bringing up Brewmaster, man, because he's just so strong, but neither team has been picking him up, and I'm really surprised. What are your thoughts on Brewmaster, man?
Well, what Brewmaster gives you is great initiation, great team fight, as well as a strong ganking hero. As far as melee heroes go, he's really good in lane. He's also a fantastic anti-carry. Not solely because of his ultimate, although his ultimate is great for shutting down carries. You can throw a carry out one up into the air, you can boulder toss another, you can zone the enemy team off. The other thing that that the Brewmaster gives you is that Drunken Haze, so powerful against any kind of auto attacker, and it's very cheap and spammable. So Brewmaster, very versatile. He doesn't have the best laning, but if you pair him with something like a Crystal Maiden and we've seen this hero quite a bit recently, so I will mention him again, that Shadow Demon, well, that is a scary 1-2 punch. Brewmaster also really shuts down heroes like Enigma, because those Pandaren Ancients cannot be black holed. So while Pan is an ult form, Enigma is essentially useless in team fights, aside from that Malefice. So Enigma definitely going to be countered a little bit by that Brewmaster. If we see an Enigma pick again, which we did see last game, I would not be surprised at all if Brewmaster is the reply. But for now, Quantic has the pick. It was a Leshrac Prophet to start, and AL already saying, we want to push down your towers fast and early and hard. And they have the lineup to start it off, and how will Quantic respond is the question.
Yeah, I mean it's a question you could see push versus push as we see in so many games right now, and the meta game is just so focused on that early to mid game. We rarely see late games that games that are built around turtling and a hard carry. Any games, most games that do go late, it's just a back and forth action where one team can't quite finish the job. Rarely do we see farm fests that go to 60 minutes before we see any real good action. We're going to see Windrunner and Lone Druid picked up by Quantic before the second set of bans. An interesting little pickup. They're committing to some push here as well, but not quite as early. Lone Druid does provide quite a bit, but he does need that basic farm. He can either go for that Radiance or for that sort of tanky build, one of the two, and I'm interested to see what they're going to do here. I mean, especially with the Chen, they do have their own push. But I really think if AL, especially with the Leshrac and Nature's Prophet, they do have the earlier push. They're going to be taking those outer towers. I mean, of course, it all depends on how the laning phase does go for them. But once they pick up that kill or two, especially with Nature's Prophet being able to teleport around the map, get those kills, they're going to be pressuring towers very, very quickly. And that might put Quantic on the back foot. You keep pressure up on a Syllabear before he can get those items, and you start controlling the map, you put yourself in a really good position to get a lot of farm before Lone Druid is effective.
That's definitely true, but one thing Quantic has going for them, we talked a lot about how AL's push will get going a little bit earlier. As far as the Lone Druid goes, that's definitely true. But if you're on Quantic's side, you have to be happy with your laning stage, because Lone Druid, arguably two heroes in the lane between the bear as well as the hero. So good in a 1v1 situation, and not too bad in a 2v1 situation. If it's a tri-lane, he will struggle quite a bit. Enigma gets the ban, even though Panda is in the pool. So we keep on talking about this Enigma and the Panda, but for now, neither of these teams favoring them. It's funny to me watching these heroes being ignored, because I just got done casting a couple of Chinese games actually over the past few days, and there's teams like eHome, LGD, as well as some Southeast Asian teams like Myth Trust. And if you leave those heroes, even in the first set of bans, if they come out available, they are immediately snapped up. Very, very fun to see how teams value heroes differently. And interesting to see that Enigma getting the ban, but hey, the Vengeful Spirit kind of suggests they want to protect the Enigma pick if they go for it. So it makes sense. Riki gets the ban here. A lot of hard carries being banned out by Absolute Legends. A lot of respect being paid towards Korok. And Quantic has not entirely tipped their hand yet. They have some push. What they are lacking, and you mentioned it, is that anti-push. So they don't have too much to spam right now. Windrunner is a good start, but I would like to see maybe an Earthshaker or, hey, a Pugna, something like that that'll help mow down the creep waves and slow down that Prophet.
Yeah, that Pugna jungling did absolutely very, very well. Being able to smoke up and then pop stacks, just spamming the nuke over and over and over again. But I think a lot of that was due to the fact that they were able to push towers early. Otherwise, I think Pugna would have been kind of weak and a little bit lacking in experience. But we'll have to see. I mean, it could pay off with the Chen if they get some sort of aggressive gank off and can push down a tower or two with the Chen, especially smoking up and trying to gate a gank in middle. That could be it. But we'll have to see if they do grab the Pugna again. Yeah, of course, Tiny being banned out once again. Just tons of respect. But Storm Spirit is going to be picked up by Quantic, so there is that one hero that we're looking out for. You can only ban so many heroes, man. And Tiny and Riki, they're going to get the job done, but Storm Spirit is going to be picked up by Quantic.
I mean, Quantic kind of picked into a weird lineup last game, and I say this because Korok did not have any of his three signature heroes. If you haven't watched Korok play Storm, Morphling, or Tiny, you need to stop. Well, don't stop watching this right now, but as soon as it is done, if you don't see him play those heroes more than just the Storm, you got to check him out, because he is just out of this world on all three of those. They're not the earliest heroes to start going, but once he gets going, he is out of control. Whether he's Tiny with an Aghanim just mowing down Rex, Storm with a quick Bloodstone just picking people off left and right, or a Morphling with an Ethereal Blade, he is so good if you give him any kind of space to farm. And with the Lone Druid as well as the Storm, that's two heroes you need to shut down. And there's only so many resources you can devote towards each. Lone Druid requires a lot of attention in lane because he is essentially 1.5 to 2 heroes. Plus, you've got the Chen with the constant pressure of those smoke ganks. I think if Quantic is going to win this early laning stage, it is going to come down to that Chen. Beat effective. We have seen teams pick Chen and then really get nothing done. And if that happens, if he's under-leveled or he's not giving the Lone Druid and the Storm space to farm, it could go south for them in a hurry. AL picks in the DK. Pretty teamfight-oriented, gank-oriented. A lot of stuns and aggression for AL. I expect to see exactly what you've been talking about all cast long in this pregame, is a lot of pushing early. As soon as Dragonite hits 6, as soon as Prophet hits 6, towers will be dying. And the key for Quantic will be to get something in return, whether it's counter pushing whether it's picking heroes off in exchange for those towers. They got to get something because they are going to lose towers no matter what.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're going to be feeling a lot of pressure very, very early as it stands right now. We'll have to see what they pick up here to try and address some of this push because it's just so much right now. And you're absolutely right when you're talking about trying to shut down both Storm Spirit and Lone Druid. Lone Druid is going to be hard because, as you say, once he gets like the Orb of Venom on the bear, it's just ridiculous how much damage he can do. He could just chase down heroes. Even the lane phase, he just chases out heroes 1v1, 1v3, or in sort of numbers advantage. He can still last hit with the bear just relatively easily, not a big problem. So Lone Druid is going to be hard to shut down in lane. And then Storm Spirit, once he hits that level 6, is going to have a hard time when they try and get the Furon ganks. Furon doesn't really add anything when it comes to Storm Spirit because he just throws up those trees, and Storm Spirit can just use that ultimate to get away. We're going to see Shadow Demon picked up for Quantic, so they're not really necessarily focusing on stopping these pushes, just focusing on more little pick. That's going to add in a lot more damage to the burst coming in, especially if they can hit the Storm Spirit combined with the Shadow Demon. They can burst a hero relatively quickly, so Pix is going to be the name of the game for Quantic, while Beastmaster is picked up by Absolute Legends, a really good initiating hero. I think if they force these fights around the towers, Beastmaster is going to have a lot of opportunities to hit a really good initiation with that single target long stun ultimate.
Yeah, Absolute Legends has a lot of initiation. Not only do they have that Beastmaster, they also have swap once the Vengeful Spirit hits 6. Ideally, you want to get level 11 because the swap is very low range at level 6. Still, the Magic Missile will be nice. Dragonite with that range stun once he's in Dragon form, that'll be great too. And of course, Prophet. I mean, sure, you can't tree in the Storm, but there's a lot of other heroes you can tree in. If nothing else, you force them by Quelling Blades or Tangos, and that'll be good. Let's go ahead and introduce the players for Absolute Legends. We do have Godot on that hard support Vengeful Spirit with a pair of wards already picked up. Snoopy with the Reign of Basilius. It looks like he will be jungling from the get-go, actually. Kind of unusual. Most Prophets nowadays seem to be either in the off-lane or mid. Of course, he's still a great hero to have in the jungle. Bleak up top with a Stout Shield already picked up, and he'll be farming up there. Musica in the mid position, and it looks like he actually bought the Courier, so I'm not sure. Yeah, because he doesn't have any gold left, so I guess he bought the Courier. Not sure if he'll be farming or just supporting someone in that middle lane. Shaitan with boots first will be in the off lane. Godot going to ward by himself. This is kind of dangerous, but why don't you go ahead and introduce Quantic?
Yeah, absolutely. On Quantic, we got Painted Gold on Windrunner right now, Korik on Storm Spirit, Solera on Lone Druid, Mikey on Shadow Demon, and Last Hit Magic on that Chen. And you're right, that was really dangerous for Godot to try and get a ward up all by himself, but he did get it up just fine, so he is blocking that one pull in that nice little spot in the jungle. It works very, very well, and he's going to be going back to his lane up at top. And you're right, it's really odd that Musica bought the Courier, because he's going to be middle, and he puts him at a little bit of a disadvantage at first, but that does also allow Shaitan to get boots, and doesn't force Godot to spend a whole bunch and not get any regen at all.
Some people don't want battle points, you can't please everyone, right? So
I know, right?
One interesting thing we're seeing right now is Syllabear is trying to pull the creeps back to his tower up top, while Prophet is doing the same for the bottom lane, even though he's not there. I love this play by Prophet. We often see off-lane Prophets pulling the creeps to themselves when they are actually in the off-lane, but Snoopy is going to do it for his teammate even when he's not there. This will give Shaitan some much-needed early levels and farm, coupled with the boots. I expect to see him using Wild Axes to stack these Ancients. That's generally what a lot of teams like to do with Beastmaster nowadays, and you can do it while still getting some experience in the lane. For the moment, the pole camp is warded. I'm surprised this hasn't already been dewarded, but as soon as Mikey gets the gold, expect to see that happening.
Yeah, absolutely. Nice little pull. They're getting a pull to the easy cramp, and now they're trying to get all the last hits as possible. So not having to tank it, both getting that nice little pull off and getting some extra golden experience there, as well as not being forced to tank it. But you're right, Solera is going to be able to get a lot of golden experience off that right off the bat, which is so incredibly helpful. Getting an early lead on that support hero who's going to be trying to force you out. Now that he's level 2, he has a level advantage, some damage advantage. On top of that, you were talking about the bear, who's a half a hero by himself. So you're going to try and force him out as much as possible, but Godot, with a limited amount of range, isn't going to be able to kick Syllabear out as much as you would normally like to see when it comes to a suicide lane hero. So that's rather unfortunate for AL.
It's still a very dangerous lane for Syllabear, though, because in this 2v1 situation, he would be okay, but there's a Prophet on the field, so there's always the potential for that 3v1. We, of course, see Snoopy taking Teleport at level 2, and once he hits 3, I expect to see Prout. This will be a ganking Prophet, most likely. At least that's what I would expect, because if you look at Quantic's lineup, you don't want to let Windrunner, Storm Spirit, or Lone Druid farm, and you need help to shut them down, and that help will have to come in the form of the Prophet. For now, Last Hit Magic has not attempted any ganks. He is just farming up in the jungle. I wonder how much he's going to farm. I guess as long as nobody's really getting ganked off, he'll feel okay in the jungle. They can take this late decently well, but at the same time, you look at Absolute Legends, they have a lot of heroes that scale, so both teams have a little bit of pressure on them for the junglers to deliver as the mid-game approaches.
Absolutely. Looks like we're going to see a little bit back and forth. Let's go over the CS right now. 10-0, Snoopy picking it up. 9-1 on Bleak, so he's doing a great job. But more importantly, Quantic is just so... 15-6 on Paint, 17-5 on Korok, and even Solera is 10-2 right now. So they're definitely picking up the CS score very heavily. They're already 1,000 gold lead right now. So the laning phase, at least the CS score, is going to be going their way for right now. We'll have to see how that changes up once Furion starts ganking, as you were saying. That's going to be very dangerous and something to really have to watch out for. And it looks like Snoopy is going to go for that Midas build. He has the Gloves of Haste already, so he's going to just try and boost his farm and his experience as fast as humanly possible, so that way they can really get the pressure up on Quantic. What do you think about that Midas build?
Well, when you go for Midas, it means you're not going to be able to contribute nearly as much for a crucial period of the early to mid game, and it's especially important, like we've been saying, against the Lone Druid and the Storm. You don't want Storm to hit 6 and have absolute free farm, and then not be ganked or pressured at all. It also means the Prophet just won't be involved in the laning stage as much, but one thing it gives you is a faster leveling. Sure, most Prophets pick up that Hand of Midas in order to get support items like Mecha, like Urn, and then they start helping out, but the other benefit of getting the Midas is you'll hit level 6 a little bit quicker. You'll also max out your teleport as well as your Treant sooner. And once that mid game hits, if the game's pretty even, it'll pay off. But for now, looks like we have a smoke gank on the bottom lane. Shadow Demon actually behind Last Hit Magic. Not the best initiation, but we are going to see a disruption. Korok has a level 3 pull. This should be the death of Shaitan. The pull actually being used very late. Shaitan goes down. Mikey getting the last hit. So that'll be a quick pair of boots for him, as the courier has already been upgraded. Great start for Quantic. That is the power of Chen, and that is why teams normally ban him.
Absolutely. I'm really glad to see that they ganked him, because he was getting a lot of experience for a Suicide Lane Beastmaster who was already level 4.5. So a very nice little gank done by Chen. Of course, you always have to watch out for Chen being able to smoke up his creeps and then just all of a sudden sneak behind some sort of tower. He'll probably be going for Musica next. It would be really nice to be able to shut down that Leshrac and help Windrunner win the lane, give him that just little bit of advantage. But we still have to keep an eye out for that Furion. Like you said, with these item builds, he's not necessarily going to be the best for ganking, but I'm still expecting him to do something to be able to help out these lanes, considering the way they might not know this, but they're losing this CS battle by quite a lot. And with that first blood already, we're going to see a 2,000 gold lead by the Radiant already 5 minutes in.
Yeah, in particular, this top lane should be going better. You can't necessarily stop the Lone Druid from farming, or at least it's very difficult to without the help of the Prophet. But Bleak should be a little bit farther ahead than he is, especially with all the pulls he's been getting. You'd like to see him at least 10 CS ahead of the Lone Druid. It's not the biggest deal now, but these little incremental advantages add up, and of course the gold graph heavily reflecting that. Almost 1,500 gold lead this early on. That's pretty big. It can change in a hurry, but with no towers down, that is a significant advantage. So the game is in a sort of a waiting period now, and the question is, when that mid game hits, who's going to get the better ganks off? Quantic struck first, but if anyone can answer back, it is AL's lineup. They have so many great ways to initiate. Beastmaster, you mentioned the levels he's getting. Once he hits 6, he can gank effectively, and he's going for Call the Wild. This is a little bit more common in the off lane, because if you get Inner Beast, you will be pushing the lane, and that's going to make it even harder for you to farm. Still, the fact that he's getting Call the Wild means that he's planning on ganking, planning on being aggressive, and that is exactly what they should be doing once the mid game hits.
Yeah, absolutely. The Vision will be able to have a big help when it comes to heroes like Storm Spirit, who are going to be all over the map, and I love all the drawings on the map. And I love the fact that AL, the fact that they're really going to be able to respond heavily in the mid game once Dragon Knight starts getting those basic items, and then also both Venge and Beastmaster start getting levels as well. We're going to see some aura stacking. That's really going to help Dragon Knight on Bleak. He's going to be able to come in into that carry farm And he's going to be able to carry much quicker than you normally see for a Dragonite. Normally he needs a couple items, nothing too big. But he's going to be able to output a lot more damage because of those two auras, and we're probably going to see a Vlad's picked up by someone. And then once we get those basic team fight items, Mech and Pipe, I really think AL is going to be controlling the mid game, but it's going to be all up to Quantic to try and get these nice little picks off and try and secure as much farm for Solera as possible.
Yeah, you mentioned the auras, but interestingly, for now they are actually not leveling them, so it's gonna be a bit of a waiting period before AL has the auras online. Of course, Vengeful Spirit's Howl, very good or Wave of Terror rather, very effective spell to have in the early game. Enter Beast, I mentioned it pushes the lane, so not surprised not to see them. But with those auras not being picked up now, it means it's gonna be a couple extra minutes. Initiation on the middle lane, and down goes the Windrunner.
Nice little job. Musica did have a haste, so Snoopy finally does execute a gank, so very nicely done. That's going to help Musica quite a bit because once he gets that level advantage, he has a higher level nuke. It's really dangerous, and he's going to be able to start maybe pushing down this tower. Windrunner is going to be down for a little bit longer, so hopefully he'll get a full edict off on the tower. Meanwhile, bottom is going to start getting tanked down. The tower's going to go down so quickly. Look at that. It's just already a tier 1 tower 6 minutes in. Nothing Shaitan can do about it. He's just playing really passive right now, as he should. He doesn't want to give up any more kills, and unfortunately, you normally hope to see some sort of counter push at top, but Solera's doing just fine at top. In fact, he's doing great at top. I mean, you look at the CS score, it's just amazingly in the favor of Quantic. And the fact that Solera is even keeping up with Bleak at this point is just really unfortunate for AL.
Yeah, I'm not sure why Quantic backed off bottom. They don't have a Arena Basilius, and that is something I really would like to see Last Hit Magic pick up. He has the Sage's Mask. Maybe hasn't been able to get the Courier yet. Actually, maybe he's not going for it. But I really would like to see that early Arena Basilius, and I think they could continue this push bottom. Prophet is not level 6 yet. Well, right as I say that, he is level 6. The last time I checked him a few seconds ago, he wasn't. But that ult will be a big boon to them in terms of slowing down the push, keeping those towers up. Normally, you don't want to see Prophet spamming his ult because it will push the lanes. But in this case, when a Chen is on the field, it's not a bad idea to be using it a little bit more frequently just to help keep your towers up.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a little bit surprised to see... Oh, there he goes. Musica only getting 2 levels of Split Earth. I was only expecting him to get 1 level and then start maxing out Lightning Storm after that, because it would be really helpful in lane. Right after maxing out that Edict, he's going to be able to spam it quite a bit on Paint, but...
speaking of Solera, it looks like he's going to go down top. Great rotation in from Prophet, even using the ult there. And now they're going to be pushing this tower.
Very nicely done. So we do finally see some sort of response to the push that Quantic has, and they're going to start taking top. But unfortunately, bottom tier 2 is going to start getting threatened here once they burst down this creep wave. They do already have a Centaur, and they're going to start pushing in as soon as humanly possible. But Beastmaster with those axes, he is level 5. Not even maxing out the axes, though, to try and defend the tower. He's going to go straight up and max out Call of the Wild first. Meanwhile, with Dragonite with that dragon form, they take down the top tower very quickly. And they're going to start focusing on the tier 2 as well. Both teams willing to trade. AL definitely with the heavier pushing power right now. Even though they start pushing later, they're going to take the tier 2 first before... Oh no, Paint getting caught out. He's going to try and key through the Tankos, but here comes a stun. Bleak does get the stun off, and Painted Gold is going to go down here. There goes the Split Earth. And AL not only picks up the tier 2, but also picks up an extra tower kill. 1-3. In the favor of Absolute Legends right now. 8 minutes in, and that gold lead just dropped. Uh-oh. Vengeful Spirit is going to get caught out. Godot is absolutely done for. Nice little play by Mikey, catching him out with a disruption. He was completely done for. So nice little job trying to get that really offensive ward up right off the bat. Paid his life for that one.
Still, if you're on Absolute Legends, you got to be happy with the way that when you got 2 towers in exchange for the death of a support Vengeful Spirit, sure, you wanted to get leveled up for those Rs, but nonetheless, it also gives Shaitan some free farm time. And you talked about a tower trade. Well, it's not a trade if you're not actually pushing bottom. And if you look at the tier 2 bottom, it's actually very healthy. Of course, the Lone Druid was doing a great job in the first stages of the game in terms of last hitting and harassing the DK, but he has no anti-push, and this was something that you harped on in the early game. No AoE on the Lone Druid until he gets that Radiance, if he gets one. And at this rate, I don't expect to see one anytime soon. Solera has Phase Boots picked up. The Bear has been on cooldown this entire time. I think he actually used it right before he died, trying to resummon it and stay alive. And as a result, the cooldown's been gone for quite a while, which definitely didn't help with that huge push coming on. As a push commences on the middle lane and the bottom lane, Maybe we'll see a trade attempt, but for now it looks like Quantic is going to get the tier 1 here. And this tier 1 middle is a lot more important than the 2 towers that AL claimed top. So crucial for Roshan positioning. If you haven't checked out NS's article, I definitely recommend it. He talked a lot about why he feels Roshan is imbalanced. That's something to keep in mind. If a pro thinks that, and he had felt very strongly that it is, then maybe it needs to be reworked. But either way, Musica with an Invis rune here, looking to set something up on Painted Gold, who is out of mana. Will he initiate, though? It looks like they're not going to for the moment. Content to just pressure the bottom lane instead.
Yeah, it is so hard for a Leshrac to be able to hit a stun without some sort of stun beforehand. So he's going to have to try. I mean, Painted Gold's just moving all around. It's going to be really hard for him to hit it, but I'm surprised he's not trying for it. He's going to go for it right now. Oh, completely missing, but Bleak is going to come in. They're going to hit that stun. Windrun is not going to go off in time. The nuke spills out. Oh, no, here comes Bleak. It's very, very low. Quark is going to try and finish off one more hit. Oh, no, Quark is going to back out. He's trying and save himself, and Bleak is going to be able to get away. The Shadow Poison is not going to be able to connect, and Quantic loses their Painted Gold on the Windrunner for absolutely nothing there. Nice little gank there by Musica. Even though he missed his stun, they were still able to pick up the kill just because Windrunner is so squishy to all those nukes. And you were talking about Syllabear, and I think I agree with... I don't think he's going to go into Radiance this game, especially against a Dragonite. He's just simply a hero who's too tanky. And at this point, he didn't really get that fast early farm. Sure, he was Suicide Lane, and for that, he did very well. But it's really not, especially when you Suicide Lane a Syllabear, it's not really worth it unless it's a one-on-one situation for you to try and go Radiance. Bleak is actually going to try and go in here. Nice little Shackle Shot, Disruption going out as well. Shaitan trying to finish off Mikey. Nice job, Bleak finishing off with the Fire Breath. Painted Gold's getting low, but Windrun is going to go off. Meanwhile, Godot is being chased down by Solera. He just needs 2 more hits in. Oh, he's chasing around the trees. 1 more hit, and there it goes, finishing him off. That was a lot of damage. So they trade 1 Vengeful Spirit for 3 kills there on Quantic. Very nicely done by Absolute Legends once again.
Yeah, the trades are going their way, but hey, the Syllabear got a kill, and that is important. Very uncharacteristic play by Korok. I want to go back to that other engagement we saw previously where I believe it was Leshrac and somebody else, maybe the Beastmaster, who just escaped with barely any life. Korok is so afraid of all the stuns on AL, and I believe that's why he zipped out. He thought he had the kill, but he didn't want to risk getting locked down. I mean, between the Roar as well as the Dragonite stun, the Magic Missile, the Splitter, so many ways to lock him down. And as a result, he could have at least gotten 1 kill, maybe 2. Perhaps didn't know if certain spells were on cooldown, but either way, this is not the kind of start that you normally see from Korok, and Storm Spirit is a very momentum-based hero. If he doesn't have a good start, he's much less effective. Similar to that Radiance, it's not going to be useful if the opposing support heroes get fast farm, if they get a quick mechanism or a pipe up. It's not going to be very effective. Storm is the same way, and eventually there will probably be a BKB on the Dragonite as well as the Leshrac, and once that happens, Storm's not going to be able to do anything. So they've got to find an opening here at some point relatively soon. Godot is not going to get shackled to the tree. He's actually going to be just fine. Disruption, Soul Catcher to follow, but it looks like Mikey will get turned around on. Roar onto Mikey, Prophet ult bouncing through, and down he goes. Another failed gank. I think Quantic is feeling the pressure here and trying to force things a little bit, and it could just cost them a kill.
I think it was a pretty smart idea. They knew traditionally when you have a Suicide Lane Beastmaster, he's going to be stacking those Ancients, and that's exactly what he was doing. And it was about that time for him to start popping it. So it was a nice idea to try and smoke up and try and get that gank off. Unfortunately, Vengeful Spirit was right there, revealed them, and they were not able to jump on that Beastmaster and try and take away some of those Ancients. Really unfortunate. That they got caught out there. And then, of course, Furion teleporting in. I mean, you just have to watch out for that. Furion, no matter where he is, he can be right there within a couple seconds and help out with any sort of counter gank. So Quantic right now is just losing the gold lead so heavily. 2,500 now, 13 minutes in. Of course, there's plenty of room for them to come back here. I mean, with the Syllabear farming away, while they are putting pressure up, the Syllabear is also farming away as much as humanly possible. I like the fact that they're sharing this bit of experience with Godot. He came in, I'm not sure if just to protect it or to also just take some of that experience, but he really needed it. He's going to be able to get that, max out that Wave of Terror, which is so incredibly important when it comes to these team fights. And middle is going to go down. Quantic is going to pick up their second tower of the game, and that middle tower, like you said, is just so incredibly important, taking both bottom and middle tower now. That really negates some of that dire advantage when it comes to Roshan. Of course, the tier 2 ones are still just as important when it comes to Roshan, but it does help somewhat.
It's a start, yeah, and the Vengeful Spirit was actually there to help Beastmaster Not only for the experience, and I agree, she definitely needed the experience. The magic missile is now maxed out. That'll be very helpful, as burst damage is the name of the game if you want to take down a Storm or even a Chen before he can pop his ultimate and the mechanism, which, speaking of mechanism, is picked up on him. But yeah, I mean, that Vengeful Spirit Howl does actually help the Axes hit harder because Axes do mixed damage, magical as well as physical, and Howl reduces the armor of the creeps. So it makes this just a little bit faster. Man, this is one of the big things that NS was complaining about, was these creeps, and specifically how you can farm them while still being close to Roshan. But hey, just the fact that you can stack them while having a hero in the offlane is pretty insane, and Absolute Legends really took advantage there. And frankly, there's just nothing Quantic could do about it. Even if they all 5 went there, I think they would flat out lose the fight. AL is just way too strong at this point. And AL continue to increase their lead. Actually, the goal difference not as big as you would expect, but a lot of big item pickups. They have a mechanism up on the Prophet to go with that Hand of Midas. Everyone's smoked up. They want to make it go on Korok. Roar is not going to hit. Great reactions by Korok. Beastmaster was in the cast animation. That is very fast fingers. Korok will live. Still, the push is continuing, and I believe this tier 1 tower is not long for this world.
Yeah, I think that was pretty huge, him being able to dodge that gank. Eventually, this tower was going to go down anyway, but Korok dying is a completely different thing. He really cannot give up those kills. He really needs that extra farm right now so he can come into that mid game and really be a dominating force before Absolute Legends start taking away all these different towers and putting some serious pressure on them.
Yeah, I'm taking a look at Korok's item build here, and he's actually going for Bloodstone. Now, this is a very common decision on Storm Spirit. Well, as I say that, initiation up top, disruption onto Snoopy, but no Soul Catcher to follow for the moment, and Mikey is going to eat it, and hey, if you lose your Shadow Demon, not the biggest deal in the world. Syllabear didn't die, but still, not a kill you want to be giving up, because anytime you lose a hero, that's either going to turn into a push or just an opportunity for your opponents to farm up your jungle and the other lanes. The tier 2 already being knocked down top. They're not going to lose a tower, but still, these deaths, you can't keep on giving them up. But as far as that Bloodstone goes, it's really a momentum-based item. If you get it late, well, you still can be roared, you still can be magic missiled, you still can be Dragon Knight stunned, and the Bloodstone doesn't do a whole lot to keep you alive. It gives you some HP. You really get it, you want to get it early so you can get a lot of kills, get those charges stacked up, and snowball from there. Importantly, it makes you respawn faster, which on Storm is great. But if you get it late, it's not a great pickup, so I'm surprised to see Korok still going for it. It's not necessarily a bad timing now, but if he dies 1 or 2 more times, it's going to be really late.
Yeah, absolutely. And then even after he does pick it up, those first couple kills are going to be so incredibly important. He cannot die right after picking up that Bloodstone. Otherwise, he's really going to be feeling it. Losing those charges just really makes Bloodstone so incredibly useless. It still does, some decent stats, but it's all about getting those stacks up. And so those first couple kills after he picks up Bloodstone is going to be incredibly important. On top of that, if he is able to get some stacks and gets the Boots of Travel build, that's going to be really helpful for these team fights where Absolute Legends is sort of dominating that mid to late game, which I feel they will be doing with this Dragon Knight. I think that's going to be really important for him. If he does die, those Bloodstone charges do, of course, decrease the respawn timer, and he's going to be able to come right back into those team fights and basically have like two different lives.
Okay, I hate to interrupt you, but do we have ZSMJ in this game? Because Solera, out of nowhere, has managed to acquire himself 37 at 70 gold, so forget not going for Relic. He's going to have a very timely Relic for an off-lane Syllabear. This is some impressive farm. Shackle shot on Snoopy down bottom. It looks like he's in some trouble. Purge to follow. A lot of damage, but that mechanism, he should be TPing out soon. I don't think they're going to bring him down in time. He canceled the TP to drop the ult. Questionable decision, but it did help out a little bit in this fight, as we do see Chen die in exchange for Leshrac. Painted Gold is getting locked down. Down he goes. Overall, a pretty decent trade if you're on the AL side. Still, I think Prophet could have lived there. And actually, it wasn't done. Mikey dropped as well.
Yeah, very nice job also, Furion, being able to buy back and catch out the Shadow Demon as well. Godot using the swamp in order to disable the teleport. Very nicely done. And they're going to force this. AL picking up quite a few hero kills are going to start forcing bottom, especially with the Furion buyback. They can just keep going and threaten this tier 2, and I don't think really Quantic's going to be able to defend this. This is really one of those towers that's really hard to defend just because that area of the ramp really clumps you up quite a bit. And meanwhile, AL has all this free area on the opposite side of the tower, so they might just try and keep farming here. Solera is farming away up at top. He is going to be going for that Radiance, already has the Sacred Relic. We're going to see teleports in. They are going to try and go on this. First is going to be Painted Gold. Syllabear cancels his teleport. He does not going to go on this. Painted Gold is in serious trouble. He gets popped up by the nukes, and they're going to be able to back off here. They're going to take the tower, actually, which is very, very low. attempted a deny by Mikey, but it's not going to be enough. So AL 5-13, 19 minutes in, having a huge lead right now. 4,500 gold lead. But all the meanwhile, Solera is farming away, and he's going to have that Radiance very soon, and that's going to be a big turning point for Quantic.
It is so hard for Quantic to initiate right now. If you initiate, you're running into a Magic Missile, a Roar. I've mentioned all the stuns in this game. I suppose I don't need to do it again. You also have to worry about the mechanism on the Prophet, the swap on the Vengeful Spirit. It is just so hard to get a pick off. Plus, if you look at Ale in general, everyone's got some items except for that Venge. The Leshrac is quite tanky. The Beastmaster very tanky with the Necronomicon picked up. And he's already level 2, going for that level 3, which will allow him to deward. The Mana Burn is so obnoxious to deal with when you're playing Storm. Bleak, look at him, 1300 HP and 3500 gold in the bag. Will he go for a Radiance of his own? I've seen it before on DK. It's not the most standard build, but we could certainly see this game. Maybe it will be a BKB rush. Either way, they are going to take Roshan, and I don't think Quantic can do anything about it. They disagree, and they're going to make a go. Solera leading the way. This is going to be a tough fight for them. Roshan already dead. Bleak is the one to pick it up. If he dies, he will not respawn in Dragon Form. Nice Shackle Shot. Goda in some trouble here. Shaitan Rora to Korok. Good target selection. Will Korok be bursted down? It looks like he will. He was not sent back to base in time. Godot will die in the pit, meanwhile to the Syllabear, but it looks like overall Quantic is in some trouble. Last hit Magic trying to run away. The Necronomicon minions are doing a good job of letting them chase everyone down. Solera runs the other direction. He says, F this fight, I am out. And it looks like in the end it will be a 1-for-1, but crucially there's an Aegis now on the DK.
I'm really surprised that Quantic did force that. It was rather unfortunate they did not get there in time. I just felt it was really risky having Solera go in without having that Radiance yet. I mean, he's so close to it. I'm really surprised they took that risk. Unfortunately, it didn't pay out exactly as they wanted, but they did only trade 1-for-1, I believe, and that's not terrible. As it is. So, and more importantly, Solera did get a kill as well as he did not die. So he's going to be able to pick up that Radiance fairly soon. And you're right, we could be seeing that Radiance build on Dragonite now that he especially does have that Aegis. If he does go that, they're going to be able to take over the game very, very quickly. I was going to say BKB probably the better choice, but now that he has Aegis, definitely worth it to get that extra damage, I feel.
Yeah, also if you pop the BKB and you die, you don't come back in BKB form, so that is another consideration. I generally don't think Dragonite is a great candidate for Aegis because he doesn't come back in Dragon form. I guess the question is, who else would you give it to? And I think the answer is Leshrac. Then again, they knew a fight was about to break out, so frankly it just comes down to who can click on the damn Aegis first. Because you don't want Storm zipping and stealing that, then you're going to feel like a real idiot. Or even the bear trying to pick it up, or attack it for that matter. Another sort of unseen cost to that fight is that Chen lost all of his creeps, and Last Hit Magic is now trying to rebuild that army. This is a downside to playing a hero like Chen. If you lose a big fight, it does take a little while to get your army going, and you may not get the creeps you want. For now, he's got 2 Ursas, which they're nice, but they're not what you're hoping for. You really want those Dark Troll Warlords, and more importantly, those Centaurs. It looks like Syllabear is doing a little bit of farming of Prophet's Treants, but he blinks the bear back.
Yeah, I like the fact that they did go for that Necronomicon at Beastmaster. That's going to add even more. I mean, it's great if you're able to use the Necronomicon to just target down a single hero, especially if you're able to get that range creep to Mana Purge on top of Storm Spirit. That's very, very helpful. But it is kind of hard to micro, especially with the way that Storm Spirit just constantly moves around. But if they can lock her down for 1 or 2 seconds and just beat on her with the Necronomicon, it's going to be great. It's also going to be huge for pushing. I'm a little bit surprised that he didn't go for Pipe. That was what I was expecting out of him. It's a little bit more typical for him to grab those teamfight items, but I think Necronomicon is going to be a very wise choice for them.
Yeah, we keep on talking about items, so I'm actually going to bring the item screen up and just make sure we're not missing anything. It is a Necronomicon 3, which you just mentioned. I'm still waiting to figure out what Bleak is going for. Okay, he's got a Hyperstone. It could be a Mjolnir. It could be an Assault Cuirass. I'm thinking Assault Cuirass because they have the lineup to push hard. They've got all the exterior towers down now. They've got the Aegis. It's probably time to start looking at pushing into the base. Quantic doesn't have the best... Oh, swap onto Korok, as well as the Roar. Magic Missile to follow, and down he goes. Chen ult was used. And now we're going to see a push on the base, I think. I'm not sure Quantic can defend this. The Bloodstone is not complete on Storm. He's dead for 50 seconds. He does not have buyback. That was a very unfortunate death. Last Hit Magic desperately trying to run away, and it looks like he should be okay. Still, I think they're in dire straits here and probably going to lose Rex.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they even took a couple of Chen creeps as well, and with the Necronomicon still popped, they're going to try and go in for this. Absolutely. Dragon Form is popped. and they're going to be just doing a lot of damage, even focusing on the bear. Look at that bear, just getting popped. There goes the Radiance. So he pops another one, but if he loses this bear, he's going to lose a lot of damage in these team fights. Very smart play by AL, targeting that, and they might back up here now that they forced a glyph. They're going to turn on this bear once again, and the bear goes down. Oh my goodness, they lose the bear. That's another 100 gold picked up, as well as no Radiance for this team fight. And now I think they can take the racks, all because they were able to pick up that bear kill.
Yeah, this is one of the other reasons why a late Radiance or Radiance against farmed, relatively high HP opponents is questionable and can backfire on you, is that bear is pretty easy to focus down. Magic Missile, Dragon Tail, Split Earth, more than enough ways to bring it down and prevent it from moving away. Of course, the bear, you used to be able to return it even while it was taking damage from the enemy team, but now you can't do that. So unfortunately, 2 quick deaths for the bear. And with that, at least one Setter X going to go down. Will they go for more is the question. They still have the Aegis up on Bleak. However, his Dragon form is about halfway done. It's tough to say, but I think if they want to go for another Setter X, they have a decent chance of doing it.
Yeah, they could always do that, especially with the bear down for another 90 seconds. But they could always just not want to force their luck. I mean, they do have a very large lead right now, and they can just go back and farm. Almost 12,000 gold lead, 24 minutes in, and on top of that, they're going to take the middle racks. So they might just back up and farm, or they can try and force this. It all depends on how confident they feel for this next team fight. Korak is going to go in with a nice little Chen teleport, just trying to do some damage. Probably just going to repeat that over and over until they see an opening. But it looks like Absolute Legends not even going to finish out the range racks. They're just going to back off. Godot actually going to swap. They're going to go on Painted Gold, instantly doing that combo. Godot might go down here. He's actually going to get away. Oh no, Korak finishes off. He's going to jump up the cliff. Very nicely done. Meanwhile, Mikey does to go down to the Dragon Knight. Last hit magic in a little bit of trouble here. There goes the stun. He's definitely done for. And 3 heroes exchanged for 1. Absolute Legends going to be able to pick up the range racks, and now they could definitely go and go game 3. Again, before the 30-minute mark, GG is being called. Absolute Legends taking game 3, and I'm just going to go straight in because, sorry guys, but, you know, they really want to get this going. Especially with a best of 5.
It's quite a long game. Quite a long and grueling set of games. Well, it would be, except they're all so short that it's working out okay for the teams, I suppose. Now, bear in mind, this is practice for Quantic going into the International 2 West qualifiers, which are starting tomorrow, so they got to be feeling a little pressure here. Hey, Absolute Legends also maybe a little something to prove that they deserve that invite, because, of course, every team who got an invite, there's someone out there questioning it, probably on whether it's on Joy Dota, Reddit, the Absolute Legends forums, wherever it might be. There is someone saying the team doesn't deserve to get in. So, hey, maybe a little bit to prove here. And, hey, they're in a good position to do it, taking that 2-1 lead as we head into game number 4.
All right, guys, I'm going to go throw up the videos real quick, and we'll just take a real short break, and we'll be right back. We're just going to get these teams in and start right away. So.